This kinda looks like an SSD, but no, it's a graphics card. How is that possible and how it works? Well, you're gonna find out in today's video, where I show you some of the most innovative and unusual GPU designs ever made. Unusual in terms of design and cooling, most often different from other graphics cards of the same chipset. So let's start with something simple but recent. The Radeon RX 7900 XTX Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. This is a limited edition RX 7900 XTX teased by AMD back in August, and from the name, you can tell its design is inspired by the upcoming Avatar game set to release early next month, and the card is set to come out sometime in December following the game's release. The card is equipped with a reference cooler and the performance is the same as the reference RX 7900 XTX, but what's interesting about it is the coloring. The cooler is covered with thermosetting paint. At idle temperatures, certain parts of the card appear dark, but when gaming, it comes to life as the card heats up the thermally reactive paint that then changes color when heated and demonstrates drawings based on the Avatar universe. The cards won't be for sale, but you can get one of the limited 500 pieces through special promotions and giveaways from AMD, Ubisoft, and related partners. Have you ever heard of Sparkle Manufacturer? These guys from Taiwan once produced video cards under their own name in the noughties, but after the GTX 600 series, they somehow disappeared from the video card market. Well, back in 2011, this vendor brought an interesting version of the Sparkle GTX 560 Ti to the CBeat Expo. The cooling of the card was very original to their brand, with two fans located at an angle which could be manually changed. And if you remember the GTX 570, a video card that was plagued with overheating, also ended up on Sparkle's list of releases presented in a single slot version of the Sparkle GTX 570-1. The cooler was a blower style edition with the fan on the back side of the cooler near the video outputs rather than the usual front side fan position. The frequency of the chip had also been increased from 732 to 752 MHz, so it would be interesting to see what the temps were. We don't know what happened after that era, but Sparkle itself just recently returned to the market as an exclusive manufacturer of Intel Arc graphics cards, so it should be interesting to see what new cooler designs they will bring to the Arc GPUs. And if you dig a bit more into their history, then at that same expo, Sparkle showed a couple more interesting designs. For the GTS 450, which had an impressive passive radiator and 4 nickel-plated heat pipes, there was a small GT 440 with a miniature radiator and 2 simple heat pipes. However, Sparkle wasn't the only one trying to stand out. When the NVIDIA 900 series were released, Zotac also released an interesting video card, the GTX 960 Extreme 3D Storm. The first impression, from the front, looks like a normal video card, but on the back of the cooler there was a removable module with 2 small fans for additional airflow from the back. One of these 960s from Zotac would cost you up to $250, when the regular GTX 960 started at $199 and the 970 for $329. The next cards we're going to talk about come from Colorful. Starting with the colorful GeForce GTX 770 2GB iGame Aries Top. The cooler design is a regular triple fan setup like other GTX 770s from their iGame lineup, but the Aries Top had an additional towered radiator on top of the third fan for additional cooling, and it wasn't even the first time Colorful had designed something like this. There was also the colorful GeForce GTX 670 iGame Edition, which looks more elegant with a part of the heatsink peeking out from under the fans. In a way, Colorful were magicians of innovation when it came to cooler designs. For example, look at the colorful iGame GTX 680 Passive. This was the card that Colorful proclaimed as the world's first passive-cooled GeForce GTX 680 graphics card. Instead of using cooling fans, this passive design was fitted with an aluminum fin array covering the card with 2 very large aluminum heatsinks, one on the board itself and the second one connected by a jumper to draw the heat away from the GPU, bringing up a total of 20 heat pipes and 280 aluminum fins. Of course, the GTX 680 was a flagship GPU and wasn't easy to cool, but the idea behind the design was still interesting to see, but we doubt it was very effective. The card had a thermal output of over 200 watts and needed a high-quality cooling system that would occupy at least 2 slots. But Galaxy also decided to attempt a design change and created a single-slot GTX 680 with a blow-away edition design with only one fan but slim enough to be a single-slot card, which they never released and ended up cancelling the model, and we can only assume it was because the design had insufficient cooling capacity for the flagship 680. The next card is the GTX 460. The GTX 460 itself wasn't very noteworthy. It was just a good mid-range GPU, but KFA2 was able to attract some attention to it by installing 5 antennas on the back of the video card. Despite what you're thinking, they weren't for Wi-Fi. These antennas were used for radio transmission of images according to the WHDI standard, which allowed transmitting a 1080p image at a distance of up to 30 meters to a receiver connected to a monitor or a TV. Unfortunately, there was too much signal latency, so you couldn't use this method for gaming, and given its higher cost than its rivals, there wasn't much demand for it. In the mid-noughties, there was a transition from the already rather slow AGP interface to the more progressive PCI Express interface, which is what we use today. As a result of this evolution, the graphics card market was crowded with models based on the same GPU but using different interfaces, as well as motherboard models suffering from the same. To make life easier for users, MSI created a video card, the MSI RX800, which had a PCIe connector on one side and an AGP connector on the other. Yep, according to which connector was available on your motherboard, you could connect the video card from either side, and as for connecting the monitor, it came with DVI and VGA connectors placed on bending cables so that you could connect a TV or monitor from either direction. So now let's look at something more modern and recent. The MTech GeForce RTX 3060 Miracle will definitely catch your eye. The South Korean hardware manufacturer MTech created a playful RTX 3060 that stood out from other RTX 3060s. The distinctive feature of the Miracle series from MTech is their honey design, which from the name you can tell is a bee-inspired design, and the cooler takes from this and incorporates a honeycomb pattern on the outside above the second fan, making the GPU look really cute compared to other boring designs out there. Other notable mentions come from the recent trend of hiding GPU cables to maintain their aesthetic. Some of the examples are the Inno3D RTX 4060 Ti iChill X2 White, the colorful RTX 4070 iGame Ultra Z, and the Gigabyte RTX 4090 WindForce V2, which route the power connector to the back of the GPU, and the cables go under the backplate to keep them hidden rather than have them on the side or on the top of the GPU. This way your system looks way cleaner with less cables visible. Taking in the idea of hiding cables, ASUS went an extra mile and made their own power connector right next to the PCIe connector. But to use the card, you need a specific motherboard from ASUS, so the choice is predetermined since it's more of a combo and hasn't been adapted by other motherboard makers. This unique connector on the motherboard receives power through a standard 12 plus 4-pin 12-volt high power connector that is located on the back of the motherboard rather than on the graphics card itself, where it's easier to access. It's not quite clear why they thought a consumer would opt for a more expensive and less reliable method to power your GPU, let alone a method that increases the risk of damage in the event of a malfunction, but the design does offer more convenient cable management as an advantage. Galax recently introduced the RTX 4090 20th Anniversary Edition card that also comes with an innovative cooler design that borrows inspiration from Nvidia's Founders Edition models. It features 3 fans in total, 2 on the front and 1 on the back. The front of the cooler has an opening on the heatsink for the fan on the back for better airflow, and it also features a hidden power connector just like the colorful Ultra Z series. But perhaps the most unusual and rare video card of today was created by ASRock Rack, a subsidiary of ASRock that specifically deals with servers. Introducing the ASRock Rack M2 VGA, a video card for servers in the M.2 2280 form factor. The card uses a Silicon Motion SM750 chip with a frequency of 300 MHz with built-in 16 MB DDR1 memory. The card uses one PCIe Express line and power is supplied via modems. Its power consumption is only 1.5 watts. It has a single VGA video output with a maximum image resolution of up to 1080p, which is enough for simple work-related tasks. In addition to servers, the card can be used in stalls, vending machines, and terminals.